and gentlemen, welcome to Hero Movie Podcast, your greatest source for superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. I am your host, Adam Portrais. Sean Keenan is out yet again this week, sadly, but he's out doing the Lord's work, and we'll talk about that in half a second. And, of course, I'm joined by Bruce Leslie.
I'm a prickly pear, and guess what I use to eat my cereal?
I don't want to know. It's probably gross. Yeah, man. So this week we're doing The Tick, and it's not necessarily the Tick you might recognize or remember. This is going to be the we're going to be talking about what specific version of the Amazon program we're going to be talking about here in just a second. But Bruce,
yes.
Sean's out again this week, and that's okay. We don't have an extra person, but he did send us a text, and while he's out in the real world doing real people stuff.
Yes.
And he
making magic
and dropping little bits of HMP into programs that you kids might see one day. So if you are out there and you got an eagle eye, and one day we'll tell you what it is when it's good and ready to be so.
Yeah, once it's already been released and consumed.
Yeah, no one can point fingers and just go, "Hey."
Yeah.
None of that. But when it happens, we'll show you some. We'll let you know about some things where there's some HMP kind of goodness stuck in the backgrounds of things. If you don't, if you're not paying attention, you won't see them. But when you do see them, oh, how good it is! How good it is! But
it'll be more satisfying than that 9 Lives movie.
It couldn't, that is one we didn't even see on the film find, man. That is, yowza. So really, I don't want to say that this brought it about, but man, Bruce, we got let's do two things. First of all, because my brain is like, I'm playing chess and I'm not very good at chess, and I'm just going, look at all the pieces on the board. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this move and this move and this move, and I can't remember which move is the move I need to do first. So let's get to the most important part of this program is, of course, when people drop down to the iTunes and give us a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger?
But this one is different. This one's a Canadian humdinger, so I want you to do your best. I put him on the spot. We didn't rehearse this. I want you to
this will be good.
Do your best Canadian humdinger voice.
Humdinger, eh?
Close enough. Given the time constraints with which you had, I give you a humdinger on that one, sir.
Oh, I could have pre-recorded Chris doing it, and it would have been spot on.
It would have been perfect at that point. Yeah, we got to...
What's all this humdinger about?
Next time he is in studio...
Yeah,
make him do it.
Humdinger.
Just make him do the Canadian humdinger, and then we'll just toss it into this show whenever we go to the Canadian ratings and everything. I love it. And if you if you're in another country or something, you drop us a review on iTunes, just copy and paste that bad boy to us, man. Send it in a link and everything so we can kind of read it out in the air like we're about to do to this fine fellow lady person. What do we got, Bruce?
We got a lady. And it's titled Super Well-Rounded and Informative Show. It's another 5-star review, a.k.a. a humdinger.
Humdinger.
Oh, I like that one. And it's by Toronto Terminator. And
nice.
It says, what sets this podcast apart from the other comic book superhero podcasts that seem to be popping up left and right lately is the running gags. I have occasionally forgotten myself while on the streetcar with my headphones and screamed humdinger. So we've got actual Canadian humdingers out there.
I love it.
Anyway, she says, when I really shouldn't have, but it adds to the fun. Keep up the good work, boys. Emily, 25, Toronto. I think that's the first review with that much information about the reviewer on it.
Yeah, Emily, send us your phone number.
Just start off with your Snapchat. We'll take it from there.
But yeah, man, thanks a lot for that review, and we'll be dipping back into that other Canadian thing, and of course, back and forth. And you can drop. I don't care where you live, man. You can always drop down to the iTunes and give us a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger.
Humdinger.
And we'd really appreciate that, man. It just helps this show get out to more people and everything, and we like that.
Even if you live in Sheboygan, right?
Even those people, Bruce. Even those people. And before we get to the end of the show, because I want to make sure that we kind of mention it up top and everything, because, I'm sure some people get to a certain point in the show and they're just like, well, I'm not listening to that crap anymore, and then they quit. So I want to mention at the top of the show is that this Labor Day weekend, Matt from the Film Find and I will be down in Atlanta at Dragon Con, and we want to meet as many HMPers as might be there.
And I'm pretty sure there'll be at least a couple, man.
There's a few, but we're in the Marriott Hotel, man. We're in like the middle of it all, the hub for all of that goings on and everything. And we just want to see people say what's up and all that kind of good stuff. And maybe I can talk to the right people and we can start to try to maybe see if we can do a little something there next year. I tried to do something this year, but their websites were not really well handled. So I think I got to go to the source and kind of shake some trees that way. But nevertheless, we're still going to be there anyhow. So come say hi, man.
Even if people can't make it to Dragon Con, but they're just down there to visit the Coca-Cola Museum, they can still hit us up on Facebook or Twitter, and you guys will try to meet them out for a drink, right?
Heck yeah, man. Absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, we'll sneak you into the thing, man, because all you got to do is either have because when you go in, you either got to have a badge or a key card. So if I've got a badge, boom, I'm already in, no biggies. But if you walk in, I can just go hey, here, hold this key card and everything. And if they go, hey, you can't be in here, you just pop up that key card and go, all right, go on in. And then, then it's all cool in the gang.
But our official position is we don't endorse illegal activities. But
nobody's
that's a theoretical. This is a world of fiction we're talking about.
No, we're just talking about going to get a drink at the hotel. That's it.
I say you do the two short guys with the long trench coat over you.
Ooh,
kind of
I like that. Though Matt's, I'm taller than Matt is, and Matt's not that short, so it's still going to be
like the Inspector Gadget cosplay.
Yeah, it is going to be some giant people. Though I've seen some people do some crazy crap there, man. So I wouldn't put it past nobody.
Do they have an official policy on conjoined twins?
Ooh, I don't know, but they should.
I think if you
got
go
red
through
cap
life as a
one
conjoined twin, you should only have to have one pass.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, this one's for my sister. How many toilets you got to poop on? All right, guess what? That's how many badges you got to get.
And instead of paying to get your picture taken with one of the companions from Doctor Who, they should be paying that conjoined twin. Because honestly, how often do you get a photo with a conjoined twin?
I don't know, but man, oh man, there's a couple people on this Dragon Con trip I wouldn't mind getting a picture with. I'll tell you that much right now. Hello, Gillian Anderson. All right, let's move on before it gets super creepy. So it wasn't actually meant to be, because this one got to us before we realized this was a thing that we were going to do this week. Which, by the way, we told you guys it was going to be Iron Man this week. It's going to be Iron Man next week because this came out on Amazon and we got to talk about it. But we did get an email here from our good boy John.
Let's hear it.
From the Idahos. Hello, boys. After finding you via Preacher Podcast, gracias, I've been hooked on HMP in a bad way. I've been listening through your entire back catalog of episodes, and as you frequently remind us, HMP is without a doubt the greatest source of superhero movie discussion in the multiverse. And I do have a suggestion for your watch list. Wow, that was weird, wasn't it?
That was almost a watch list.
Watch list, but that was... It was. While the consensus on the Tick animated series is positive, I think the 2001 live-action Tick TV series starring Patrick Warburton is undeservedly maligned and ignored. With only 9 episodes at 22 minutes each, it's a quick watch that features some great comedic actors playing superheroes more concerned with their publicists and coming out to their families, while most of the action takes place off screen. And how can you say no to Ron Perlman guest starring as an egotistical, flame-powered fiery blaze? What if I told you the episode centers around his dysfunctional codependent relationship with a short shorts clad named Friendly Fire? I'm ready for that.
I love that episode.
So give it a chance on a rainy day. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised and having fun dissecting it together. Thanks for putting out such an entertaining podcast and keep up the good work, John. John, thanks for the email, man. And it's so weird because I was reading this and I was like, okay, well that's a great plan and everything. And I looked and DVD's $7 on Amazon, so it's practically nothing. And it was sure shooting as I had finished up that email. I was, as I often want to do, I'm in a movie theater and I go out and I leave and I turn back on my phone and Bruce sends me a text saying, hey, man, the Amazon Tick thing is out. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that was already a thing already. And so I was like, well, that's funny because I just gotten an email saying we should do the Tick. So
yeah,
we are going to do the live action Tick, but not the one you wanted, John. Not yet. Now,
but we will eventually because I love that series and it's only 9 episodes, so it'd be easy to do in one episode of HMP.
Yeah, we can easily handle that. So we'll do that, and I think we'll wait for Sean to come back for that one because Sean is a pretty big Tick fan.
Yeah, he's a New Englander. He can't help it.
No, you can't. Not with that. So we'll go back and we'll hit that kind of stuff up when it happens. So it's on the burner. But hey, you got a live action Tick show right now. It may not be the one you wanted, but hey, it's It's one of them.
It's the one you deserve.
It's the one you deserve there. So let's go ahead and take a quick listen to the trailer for The Tick.
Stop your evil ways! Sneaky.
Who are you?
I'm the Tick.
The Tick?
That's what it says in my mailbox.
The Terror is moving weapons and armor into this city. He's planning something terrible.
You got ideas, theories. I like that in a sidekick.
What are you talking about?
You got the brains, I got the everything else.
All right, so that was kind of the trailer for The Tick. I mean, they don't have like an official one. It's all like through this big Amazon thing. So all you hear is a couple of voices. It's Amazon pilot season again, as you kids all know. But they've done this a couple times actually with Amazon, to where they're like, hey, here's like 4 or 5 different pilots that we put together, and you guys vote on them.
And infamously, Zombieland won the first go round and never went into production.
Ain't that a something?
Yeah.
But, so whether or not they do the things that they say they're going to do is one thing or another. But so The Tick may or may not become a thing on Amazon, but we've got a pilot. It's available on Amazon Prime right now. So if you're one of those streaming people, as I know probably a good majority of you out there are, check it out, man. And we're going to talk about that right here, right now. But we got to get into a little bit of the history of this thing, man, because now, believe it or not, this is actually written by the man who created The Tick, Ben Edlund,
yes.
who my guess is Bruce might have a little something to say about us here in the old comic book connection. What you got for us, Brucey?
Well, as you said, The Tick was created by cartoonist Ben Edlund in 1986 as a mascot for the newsletter for a comic book store in Boston called New England Comics.
One of the most
when
popular comic shops ever. Even to this day.
Yeah. And when Edlund did this originally, he was only 18. So that's got to be a pretty good career path. Graduate high school, become a comic book superstar.
Yeah.
But from the beginning, the Tick was an absurd character intended to be a spoof of traditional comic book superheroes, particularly the Daredevil stories of Frank Miller. Now, in the initial 2-page story, the Tick escapes from a mental institution, and that got enough of a chuckle from the New England Comics newsletter fans that a full-length issue soon followed, as the store itself financed a black-and-white comic that was written and drawn by Edlund, with the first issue being released in June 1988. A full 3 years, I'm going to add, after my creation of a similar character known as the Man of Aluminum. Now, in issue number 4, the big blue hero got a nebbish and neurotic moth-themed sidekick named Arthur, who, when he has his wings retracted, was frequently mistaken for a bunny, and he sported the battle cry, "Not in the face!" Now, in the comics, the Tick seems to have no memory of his life before being the Tick, perhaps due to repeated head injuries and also the fact that he's legally insane because, as I said before, he escaped from a mental institution that was located not too far from the city. And yes, the city that the Tick's comic book adventures take place in is the city. Sort of like New York City, but take out New and York and replace it with the. Now, the Tick strikes an impressive figure with a robust chest, broad shoulders, and a strong jawline, and he's nigh invulnerable, which in a weird way seems to be even better than invulnerable. But he is not without his shortcomings. First and foremost, he is incredibly obtuse and prone to quipping odd, dim remarks, as well as giving inspirational speeches that are filled with bizarre metaphors. Also, the best catchphrase that he can come up with when charging into battle is "spoon," spelled with 6 O's. Now, the Tick arrived upon this battle cry one morning while enjoying his favorite meal, a nice oversized bowl of Drama Flakes brand breakfast cereal. In an interview, actor Patrick Warburton described his perception of the Tick character as, and I quote, "His past is a memory, so everything that he looks at or perceives can be brand new, and he can get really, really excited and intrigued by something that's just a commonality for everybody else. That's humorous. He's like a child. Everything's new, so you just bring that attitude to him, a childlike attitude of discovering things." Personally, I agree with Pat, which he told me I was allowed to call him, probably just to get me to move on and leave him alone. But I think that it's this childlike naivete and wonder that has made the character so beloved by fans for the past 28 years. especially when juxtaposed against the world-weary and pessimistic learned sidekick, Arthur the Moth. Now, one question that comes up is, why is the Tick blue? Because ticks aren't blue in nature. Well, originally the Tick's costume was meant to be brown in color, but it was decided that blue looked better in print. Think about the Gray Hulk, or maybe a more esoteric comparison, the White Vision. And now that I say that, I think about it, the White Vision sounds like a supporting character in a Trump comic book, but I'm talking about the Vision was originally supposed to be all white. Now, at one point, the blue guy does face off with the brown Tick, who turns out to be an unstable psychopath, so not really entirely dissimilar to the actual Tick. Also, the Tick gets a job at one point. He gets a job at the Weekly World Planet newspaper working for Perry Beige, where he hilariously just puts a business suit on over top of his Tick costume, if it really is a costume. And he works next to a reporter named Clark, who, coincidentally enough, has all the same powers as DC's Superman. But this Clark is not Superman, but rather the caped wonder who spends much of his time looking down his nose at the Tick, considering him to be an inferior hero. The Tick, however, possesses two qualities that Clark never can. The first is his ability to heed destiny's call and rush into battle without worrying about the details and consequences. The second is his drama power, which gives him the ability to make any situation more dramatic by his mere presence. And like any superhero worth his salt, the Tick has his own rogues gallery, including nemesis like Chairface Chippendale, Dr. Bowling Game, the evil Midnight Bomber what bombs at midnight, and the man-eating cow. But perhaps the most feared of all his foes is the Terror, a very old and supremely evil supervillain who killed hundreds of superheroes in his prime, but now he's way past it. Now, the Terror drives a giant mechanical spider that serves as the base of his followers, the Evil Ears. And in the Tick Big Yule Log special, the Terror tricked the Tick and his friends to stay at a ski lodge where he plotted to ambush them. But before the Evil Ears can start their attack, the man-eating cow attacks them. The Tick found a piece of the Terror's costume in the man-eating cow's mouth, but the Terror does appear again later, proving that in comic books, much like podcasting, you can't keep a bad man down.
Yeah, so here's the IMDb plotline for everybody.
Let's hear it.
In a world, pardon me, that's no good. In a world where superheroes have been real for decades, an accountant with zero powers comes to realize his city is owned by a supervillain. As he struggles to uncover this conspiracy, he falls in league with a strange blue superhero. This is directed by Wally Pfister, and we'll get into Wally in a little bit.
Good thing his family didn't name him Willie.
That's true. Written by the comic book, as we mentioned before, Ben Edlund, starring Peter Serafinowicz, Griffin Newman, Valerie Curry. I don't know why I couldn't say Valerie correctly. Brendan Hines, and of course, our favorite Jackie Earle Haley, who, honest to God, I did not know that was him.
Oh, really?
No, because I didn't look at the cast or really anything like that, and I'm like, when I got to the thing, like, if you'd asked me, it's like, who played the villain? I'd be like, heck if I know. It's just a dude.
Guy from Central Casting. You know, I saw the cast list before I watched the episode, so I put two and two together. But if I didn't know ahead of time, I may not have recognized him.
Didn't, man. It's like a kind of a weird, like, because he is tiny, but it's kind of a almost like a lot of things in the Tick, a mix of about 6 different superheroes or villains kind of all crammed into one.
And pretty heavy prosthetics on the face.
Oh yeah, and he's hamming it up big time and everything. Which, like, Jackie Earle Haley does like a lot of stuff, but it's not usually like over the top loud kind of stuff. It's more just kind of like psychopathic stuff. So he was a little bit more, pardon the pun, animated in this live action thing.
Hey, the man's got range.
He most certainly does. Now this was a thing. Like I said, this is the pilot that you will go to Amazon and vote for if you want to have either like this or one with Van Damme or one with something else. I don't know. I haven't watched all the trailers. I don't care.
I think it's a cowboy in a city or something.
Sure, why not? I hear the Van Damme one's good though. I haven't seen it myself, but.
Yeah, and I think you actually vote by watching. I think now instead of votes, they just see which one got the most views.
What if everybody watches all 3? Then they're all equal. Oh, gee whiz. Anyway,
you got to go watch it twice if you like it. I guess.
watch it. Yeah, just put it on an infinite loop in the house, and then
because how
perhaps...
can you say that people didn't like it if they didn't watch it? You know, it seems like a messed up system.
Nah.
You should be required to watch all 3 before you can vote.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's I wish
it's like going to a film festival and you pick a winner because it was the only movie you watched.
Dude, I'm telling you, that happens. There are people that I'm just sitting there that's what I always hate when we'll get. Listen, guys, there's not a lot to talk about. Our show's going to go twice the length of this program does, so you can take some sojourns. But what I don't like is when people do best of the year film lists and stuff like that, and then they go, here are my top 10 movies of the year, and then you ask them how many movies they've seen, and it's 15
12.
to 20, and you're just like, dude, you haven't seen any movies. Matt and I in the Film Find, I think last year we each saw around 150 movies in the theater. So when we talk about a top 10, we got a lot of standing to go through because there's a lot of crap that we watched.
In the spirit of that kind of, in the vein of the spirit of what you just said, I think in January I'm going to send the Film Find a list of the top 10 movies I didn't watch in 2016.
You were probably smarter for not having watched the majority of them. Lord knows we aren't.
Yeah.
But Bruce, what was your? Have you did you have a history with the Tick comic at all?
Man, yeah. I've read a fair amount of the comics. There were only maybe 11 issues written by Edlund. He never finished his planned, I think it was a 13-issue run originally. So the original Tick story's kind of unfinished, but then some other writers and artists picked it up and did a pretty good job. So I've also read some of the non-Edlund stuff, and I consider myself a fan. I mean, I'm not. There are diehard Spooners out there, but I consider myself a person who enjoys it to an appropriate degree. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. It's the kind of thing, it's like a comic book for comic book fans because it's a lot funnier if you understand what they're lampooning.
Yeah,
it's not that hard, really, other than, some of the Frank Miller Daredevil stuff people might not get, but you're going to get the Superman and Wonder Woman jokes no matter if you've read a comic book in your life or not. Never watched the animated series that much, but absolutely loved that very, very short live-action series that a la Firefly, Fox and their infinite wisdom snuffed out before it had a chance to shine.
Fox can't keep us. If your name's not The Simpsons, Fox doesn't know how to keep you on the air for more than a season or two.
But yeah, I like the Tick. It's fun, and that's what I'm going to go back to a few times when we're talking about how I feel about this pilot. But what I like about the Tick is that it's fun and that it's absurdist. It's not highbrow satire. It's pretty absurd.
Yeah, and that's what I liked. I mean, I saw the live action thing back in the day, which itself was on Fox, of course, and of course Fox also did the animated program, which I was, about being about 10 years younger, I was at the kind of appropriate age to watch the Tick as a cartoon, and that's where the majority of my knowledge of Tick comes from is the cartoon and of course the live action.
And kind of a testament to Edlund's talent. The reason he left the Tick after 11 issues was to go take care of the animated series that ran for 5-6 seasons. So it's interesting. He does 11 issues of a comic and then gets 60 plus episodes of a animated series. So the guy is clearly talented because usually it's the other way around. You put in 5-6 years on a title with a comic book and maybe somebody will pick it up and then just mistreat it and throw you to the side and do it without you,
Yeah.
So, and he's had a good career in television.
Yeah, it's not been bad, and like I said, I enjoyed the animated program for what it was and everything. Thought there was a lot of fun to be had with it. And
it's something that needs a good transfer because it's not easy to watch now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you can get them all on DVD and stuff, but I don't know how well if at all those look if they look any good or not.
The original thing was formatted to fit old school square TVs, and that's what always kind of bugs me when I'm watching old stuff sometimes.
That don't mind me none, so I'm cool with that. I'm just I had there was an argument again. This show's not gonna be long, folks. There was an argument I had with a person once who was got himself a brand new big 60-inch 3D television and everything, really super excited, but yet would watch everything 4:3 stretched because he heard some rumors about burning and stuff, and that was just always a pain in the butt to me. Just go, you're watching it wrong, it's just wrong. I'm don't be like that, people. But
Oh, see, I'm even better. I'm the guy. I have at least 2 of my TV set on the auto format, so it'll flip back and forth randomly during the movie.
Oh, oh, don't let me in your house. I will just go through and reformat all your stuff and adjust the picture properly. And then
I want to set them all on that Blair reduction setting, but my family won't let me. I want everything to look like soap operas.
I can't hear anything. They're all so high. So I had posted this I'd posted a picture of the Tick from this new Amazon thing up on our Facebook page a little while back, because honestly I wanted to get what people's opinion was, because I had not heard much about this. I heard, oh, they're going to do a Tick thing, and I was like, well, we like the regular live action show back in the day well enough. The animated show was well enough. So how could they really screw this up? They've had two pretty good templates there to show what people, kind of are interested in, right? One would think. But this was one of the more heavily commented ones. So I put up a picture of what Peter Cetera, what he looks like in his costume, up on the Facebook page. I want to read some of the reactions to what people, because this is not what the Tick kind of looks like and everything. It's a bit more texturous with the costume.
And then I've got a few comments of my own after you read the comments that the Facebook folks had.
Here's one. Why is Arthur in the Tick costume? Is the Tick going to be dressed as a giant moth? Skinny for the Tick? Maybe Arthur. Looks like Peter said. Simon pegs me. Well, that's true. My own brother asks, is he wearing a woman's one-piece bathing suit under that high school class uniform costume? Eric says, anyone not Patrick Burton is dead to me. I am not feeling it, not convinced. Wire's hip lines so weird. It's terrible. How does he pee? and one from my good friend Alston, who says, it looks better in the front, from behind poster that shot that I saw. Still unpleasant and weird. If only they had made a costume a couple shades darker, it might look better. Too much cod piece action going on as well. So here's the thing, man. When Patrick Warburton, and I'm sorry, you're going to get some comparisons to this because it's a live-action Tick, so that's what we're going to compare it to.
There's a very limited sample size for comparison, so we're going to have to go to the same well.
Yeah, but Patrick Warburton is a big dude. He's a big dude with a big old head and one heck of a jawline that fits well for the Tick. When you put Patrick Warburton's head inside the Tick, while it's not like exactly what the Tick looks like, it's enough to you just go, oh, yeah.
And I know it's an overused phrase and it's a little cliche, but I feel like the Tick is the role Patrick Warburton was born to play.
It encompasses his kind of like oddball
and that deep,
sense
goofy
of humor.
voice. Yeah, he comes across as naive and childlike.
Yeah, he can play that up super, super well. And, he's a guy who's done animation for a long, long time, even before Family Guy. Believe it or not, kids, he did stuff before Family Guy. And, of course, I always loved him as Putty on Seinfeld. That was always,
that's what I go to. That's the well I remember him from.
That's my Patrick Warburton, I tell you. But, so... call me crazy, but when I saw this thing, I was not exactly blown away. What were your kind of initial thoughts when seeing the costume? Because let's face it, the costume is what this thing's going to be kind of predicated on.
The picture looks awful. I'm just going to go ahead and say that I think the picture looks awful. I didn't like anything about it. Didn't like the stature of the actor. But I don't know if they did some color correction in the post on the video, or if maybe the photo itself had some kind of bleed or bad lighting or whatever. But it looks better on camera than it does in that still photograph.
Well, that's true. The still photograph looks like something that you'd see like from Entertainment Weekly, Entertainment Weekly, which is just like their numero uno and like, hey, here's this superhero costume, and it looks like garbage. But when you see it in the movie, it's just like, oh, no, that looks really good. The people at ET just don't know how to photograph stuff. You'd think being a magazine, they'd know how to photograph things, but they don't.
And then you go ahead and you add to that the fact that Peter Stefanovich, I'm not sure what his name is, Peter Stephanopoulos. Anyway, you add the actor's voice to it, and he's a good voice actor.
Oh, yeah, his voice is great, actually.
And I think he does a really good Patrick Warburton impression for a guy who's like English or something. I'm not sure where he's from, but I know he's not a native of the United States.
He's from Liverpool himself there.
Yeah, so he's the fifth Beatle nobody knows about.
He was in that group. But no, like, because you hear, it opens up with a Tick voiceover, as Tick was very often want to do in the animated series and live action portion. And he sounds great. I mean, there's some times where I'm just even like, did you get somebody? Did Patrick Warburton, does he just sound a little bit different now? Because it sounds really good.
And I read a review, and tell me if you have any idea where this came from, but I read a review where they said that they felt like he had a hint of Adam West there. And I think this is a reviewer who has no idea about the live-action history of the Tick and Patrick Warburton, because there's no Adam West there. I think that's pure Warburton.
No, I'll say I can see that, actually.
I can see it when Nick Cage is Big Daddy and Kick-Ass, but I don't quite see it with the Tick here.
Well, it's super evident there, but I would say I'd put a little, there's a dash of that in there, no doubt. I can see a dash of. Okay, well, I'm glad I brought it up then. So they're not too absurd, but I mean it's not as on point of him. Let's be frank, he is kind of doing Patrick Warburton, not really, but a little bit.
And if he didn't, I'd be upset. I mean, what if the Tick had a thick Hispanic accent and a high-pitched voice? That would just throw me off if he sounded like Batman.
I am the Tick. I don't know.
Yeah, that was a pretty good Tick there, man.
Not bad. And then just he had to and he's got a little mustache. That's what I like.
Turn him into Batman. Bring Nestor
Batman
back.
Is still just one of the most hilarious. That is something, like, as somebody who just loves comedy, that you're like, son of a gun, I did not come up with that. Because it is just that darn good that you're just like, bro, Batman, you want to kiss the person that did. You're like, you are a genius. You're just a genius.
And you cast the only man in Hollywood with a natural God-given eyeliner, and it just works so well.
It's glorious.
But I want to ask the obvious question.
Okay.
Why not Patrick Warburton?
I don't know.
He's a producer here. He was really pushing for this to go into production. I got to talk to him a couple of years ago briefly, but he was really pushing for this to go into production, and my assumption was he would be in the suit, and I was a little surprised when he wasn't. So, I mean, the guy still is a big guy. As of 2 years ago, I mean, it could have been a rough 2 years, but the guy's still a big guy. That voice never changes. You got that suit with the fake muscles in it. It's not like he's still going to be tall and broad. And to be honest, the Tick could even be a guy that's a little flabby, but Warburton's not, at least not last time I saw him. So why not Warburton?
Yeah, even if you had a little bit around, or a little bit around the edges and everything, it might actually make things funny too.
Yeah, man. Make him look kind of like Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
Would be fun.
Yeah,
you could even spin the story as like the Tick has been missing for 15 years, and now he comes back.
You've already written a better story than I could have.
Because I mean, the Tick is nothing if not absurdist, and they could even play with it in the pilot. Like, what happened? Where did you go? And he was go, I don't know. Just one day, it was my normal night to be here, and I wasn't here. Something like that, and just kind of wink at the camera.
And Arthur's got to get him out of retirement or something.
And I think the funny thing is you recast everybody else as ultra young, 22, 23-year-old actors. Patrick Warburton is still his glorious self, and you just don't address that conceit, Or
you address it completely and you look different or some such.
You do the old Becky on Roseanne. Something looks different about you today.
Yeah, well.
But why not Patrick Warburton? And if he's not going to be cast in it, how did he end up as a producer? There's some questions I'd really like to know the answer to.
That's the thing that blows my mind the most, and the thing that I'm just scratching my noggin trying to figure out is if you were. What? I don't understand. To me, I mean, and it's not like it's we need to so hard reboot or this or the fact that you saw Patrick Warburton in it. Oh, that's the thing that I remember from the late '90s and everything. The heck with that, and just throw it to the curb or something. I just don't. And
as far as even being a money thing, I don't think Warburton has a production company. And to be honest, I would imagine though he's not in front of the camera, Edlund probably has more money than Warburton. So it's just a weird thing. I don't know. I don't know how he got the producer credit unless it was just to sort of get him to do a little PR for the process.
Got to go around and kiss the right rings or something. I don't know, man.
Maybe they had him work with Peter Sofalofinich.
Snuffleupagus, is that what you call him?
Yeah, that's what we're going to call him from now on.
From now on, you are Peter Snuffleupagus. It's God, I curse my ancestors so hard, man.
So I don't know. What do you think about, since we don't have a real good answer for why not Patrick Warburton, but I think you and I are in agreement that he would have been fine as the Tick, right?
I don't see any reason why he couldn't. He's not old and gray at this point. I mean, yeah.
Well, so what? He covers his hair up. I mean, Hollywood, man. Kevin Costner had CGI hairline.
That's true.
Anybody can get some Just for Men and slather it on Patrick Warburton. And I'd volunteer to do it. I'd even pay for the Just for Men.
Mm-hmm. $14.
What do you think about this guy, though, Peter Snuffleupagus?
Look, I think he's fine, but like here's my problem, and my problem's not so much him as it is the bloody costume. And believe it or not, that's the thing that kind of makes or breaks this whole darn thing for me. And it shouldn't, but it does.
And I've got a question, sort of a rhetorical question, I guess, or just sort of a supposition to put out there to the universe. But I have a feeling like if this goes from pilot to production of a full season, they'll probably retool that suit a little bit. I've seen other shows do that after the pilot.
Yeah, I hope that they do. I don't know that I like because here's the thing. So with the tick and everything, it is kind of like your traditional, as much as it can be in the way that it's drawn. Traditional Batman type, cowl, if you will, for lack of a better term, where your mouth is cut out and everything, but you have the eye holes. But of course, in animation, they're a little bit different because it's an animated thing. But we on this costume and everything, instead of cutting out the full face like we do on Warburton, we still give them the eye holes, which I think really is what kind of. I mean, I think that's really more of a distraction than even like the texture for the costume or anything.
But that is more comic book accurate,
At this point, I don't care.
Yeah, I'm just saying, Edlund is hands-on on this one, so it is more comic book accurate. So I'm not going to split that hair, but if Warburton was there and they covered his eyes up, I'd throw a fit.
Yeah, I just don't know that it's. I mean, you have to work within the bounds of what works in live action versus animation or drawing.
And the trick too with the tick, it'll make you sick, but it'll give you a kick anyway.
I'm gonna punch you in the face.
The problem is you need the guy with the physical stature, the booming voice, and the comedic chops, and that's why I say Patrick Warburton was so perfect for it. And this Snuffleupagus guy obviously doesn't have the same physical stature that Warburton has. But what do you think about like Rob Riggle?
Rob Riggle could have maybe if. And I like Rob Riggle a lot. Don't get me wrong, but I'd have to see I don't know that I've seen him stretch enough to where I know that would be something he'd be really good at, as opposed to just good at.
And I'm going to throw another one at you. What about Dwayne Johnson?
You know what, Bruce?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just a mad genius, and I don't know why. On God's green earth, in the land that we live in right here and right now, that was not the thing that happened. Man, oh, my God.
They could even do some funny stuff where they just, like, put the little hat on him with the antenna and then use body paint, and just paint him blue.
He would be perfect. He's a guy who gets enough of the comedy. He has the physical stature to pull it off all day long. Dude.
And somebody else who essentially played an alternate version of the tick is Dave Bautista, with that hyper-literalism that comes across as humor.
He couldn't pull it off, but he could pull it off size-wise. But
he doesn't quite have the chops to do the full-on tick.
Yeah, you were fine.
I've never really seen him in anything but Guardians, so it's hard to say.
Yeah, that and wrestling, but he's branching out, man. He's getting into more stuff and everything. So I mean, good for him. But at this point, I don't think he's got the range that I'm kind of looking for this. But
yeah, I heard they signed him for Shakespeare in Love too, so we'll see.
The sequel you've all been waiting for.
And want to talk a little bit about Wally Pfister, let people know why they should know that name and why that's kind of a big deal for this pilot.
Yeah, so Wally Pfister has been like a big cinematographer for many, many years. You've known him mostly, I guess, from Christopher Nolan films. That's probably where he's got his, Big Bang Bucks on and everything, your Dark Knights and all that kind of good stuff. And Inception, you have like Moneyball he also did. But all the way back to like...
He's bound to have been Oscar nominated for The Dark Knight, right? For his cinematography there? Because he's the director of photography on all those Nolan movies, essentially. I think something's had to be nominated.
Yeah, going back all the way even to Memento with him and everything. So, I mean, the dude has been out there.
And I would love to be a PA on one of his productions just so I could say, yes, Mr. Pfister. No, Mr. Pfister. Certainly, Mr. Pfister. Want to play Twister, Mr. Pfister?
But his first foray into directing was in 2014, a movie called Transcendence, which Matt reviewed on the Film Find and said was just absolutely awful. I didn't watch it because it has Johnny Depp, and I could care less about Johnny Depp these days.
What about Johnny Depp as the tick?
Johnny, no. You know what it is? You know what it really is, Bruce?
What?
Johnny Depp is Batman well. I'm telling you,
Now that would be
that
perfect.
could work.
It'd be a little tough on the budget, but it'd be perfect.
It'd be tough on the budget, but I think you put because that's all he does is play wacky, weird characters these days. You put a Mexican accent on that guy and dress him up proper. I'm actually for that.
What about the guy that played Scott Lang's friend in Ant-Man that liked to tell the stories?
Ooh, Michael Pena.
He would be a good Batman. Well,
I'd like that. That would be good as well. Michael Pena would probably be a little bit more in their budget, but
yeah, Michael Pena. If you can't afford Johnny Depp, he's the go-to. If you can't afford Johnny Depp,
you know what they say: if you can't get Depp, get Pena, dadgummit.
He's going to be Willy Wonka in the next movie. But anyway. Now, so Wally Pfister, good time cinematographer, and even though he's not serving in that capacity for this pilot, with him being the director, I think you can expect good cinematography, and I think we got it. I really think it looked good for an Amazon pilot that may never go past this. I thought it looked really expensive, to be honest.
Well, here's the difference between you and me. I didn't think it looked that expensive at all. I think it looked rather cheap. I think it looked decent for what it was, but I don't feel like there was more than, and it may just be part of the Amazon system. I don't know what they spend on pilots, but I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, they didn't spend more than $4 million on this thing, because it does not look like they did a whole heck of a lot. There's like,
but for a pilot that's not been picked up, that's streaming only, I think $4 million sounds expensive.
Not really.
Okay, because by comparison, I would imagine
it might be less. I was
going to say, I would imagine Elsa's Vault probably had like maybe a couple $100,000 behind it.
Yeah,
for a Hulu pilot.
Well, that's pretty low. But this is like. But while I say that because Wally Pfister, because the names that are attached are big enough names to where it would constitute that within their pay and the pay for the crew and all that kind of jazz. But it doesn't look like it costs that much, to be quite honest.
Well, a more reasonable comparison is Powers. I think it looked better than Powers.
Oh, it looked better than the Powers show did. Yeah, absolutely. I'll say that. But that's just. But
I just have my expectations set low. If it's not on Netflix, I go into it with trepidation.
Which I know you're. Yeah, and I know you're going to be shocked, Bruce. But Powers got canceled.
Oh man, who's going to stop the bleeding in my heart?
I don't know. But no, here's the thing. You got enough talented people on this, but at the end of the day, for me, it falls flat. I mean, now we are definitely telling this story more from the standpoint of Arthur.
How did you feel about that? Because I don't know. I mean, I always kind of understand that Arthur's like the audience surrogate. Mm-hmm. But they make him a little too heavy, maybe, and then they take away some of his ability to represent the perspective of the viewer by making him a little crazier than the Tick, perhaps.
Yeah, he's got his own tendencies to what he's doing to kind of find the murderer of his father and everything that we see in a flashback. But I say murder, but like it was premeditated. Dad was over at the car and got smashed by a busted ship and stuff. And
beats losing your eyes to syphilis.
Yeah, true. But then Jackie Earle Haley comes out and screams at the kid while he's eating.
So much fun, man.
While he's
so much
ice
fun
cream
whenever
and everything.
Haley's on screen.
But then he got on the cover of Time for it, so that's something. And hey, if you had like a supervillain like murder your father and then eat your ice cream out in front of your face, it can get you out of doing some jail time.
Yeah, but here's what I think I don't like. And you tell me if you felt this or if you dislike it or if you think it's okay if they do it, whatever. But I kind of felt like they were wanting us to ask the question, is this a Tyler Durden kind of deal?
No, I could see that.
And I don't like to have to ask that question. Now I understand Edlin.
I didn't get the vibe, but no, I mean I could see how one could insert that in there, yeah.
And I don't want that to be a question on this show. I want to be able to enjoy how uncomfortable the Tick makes Arthur and how odd the Tick is without trying to go Tyler Durden with it, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But, I will say when I was 18, what I would have created, I would probably have major revisions for it when I'm darn near 50. So that's what Edlin's situation is. He created something when he was a teenager just for kicks. And now that he's actually an accomplished writer, he's worked on a lot of stuff. Maybe he wants to elevate the level of the art a little bit, and maybe he wants to add some complexity to it. But and it's his right to do that. But I didn't like when I started to question, everybody's questioning, are you seeing things again? Are you hearing things again? Are you taking your medicine? And they even have that flashback where he's a kid and he hears the tick's voice coming out of his nightlight.
Yeah. I don't know, but here's the thing, too. At the same time, there are people out there that are going, man, this just doesn't feel like the tick at all. It doesn't, it doesn't have all the hallmarks of that. And like you said, it's the guy who did it, man. So how much leniency do we give on people that kind of almost go through and rework their own stuff?
Not only that, but you got to remember he was 18, man. There's nothing I did when I was 18 that I'm proud of now. Like literally nothing I can think of other than, one time I did manage to eat a whole bag of marshmallows all by myself. But that's about it.
I ate a whole bag of chocolate chips one time, and I did not eat chocolate for months on end because I was just like, this was the worst mistake ever.
But what it's missing, and sometimes people are maybe phrasing it differently, but at the end of the day, what this show seems to be missing are the absurdist elements.
There's hints of it in there, but it just doesn't the second that you feel like it's going to go somewhere, they kind of back off a little.
They take absurdism and try to replace it with a little bit of dark humor and maybe a touch of an unreliable narrator kind of aspect, like I said, a la the Tyler Durden question. But they don't have the straight-up absurdist elements where you know what it is. There's no layers to it, which I can understand why Edlund would want to make a more complex program than he did before. But I loved the absurdist elements. I loved it because it was different from other things that I could see in prime time. It was deeper than a sitcom, but it wasn't trying as hard as other shows like action shows that would have been on in 2001. And here, it feels like, and I'm going to build on this a little bit more, so don't chop my head off now, but it feels like he's trying to take the tick from what it is and try to make it like what everything else is. But I've got a thought on that. I took it a step further. Like, this is just the pilot, so we don't know what his big plan is, but maybe the way that in 1988 the tick was spoofing the things going on at DC and Marvel Comics, maybe now this tick show is going to turn into an absurdist spoof on what's going on with things like the Netflix Daredevil and Jessica Jones and their dark tone, as well as Scott Snyder and his dark tone. Like, maybe if we give him time to finish his painting here, I can step back and look at it and see the schooner.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big problems of this, too, is that it is just a half hour. I feel like if we could have gotten an hour-long pilot where this story got a little bit of room to stretch, it might have been worth a little bit of something. But as it stands right now, we don't we finally see Arthur put on his costume there at the end of the first episode here, and that's all we got to go by. It's like you don't really it oddly felt like a pilot. Like they were just like,
yeah.
Hey, here's a couple of the elements. This isn't really what we're going to be doing with the show, but it's kind of give you a flavor of what we're really going to do.
Yeah, it almost felt like one of those proof of concept pilots that you show to the execs, but you never broadcast.
Exactly. Like they did a It's Always Sunny was like that.
And
they
there
did
was
like their first episode, but never really aired anywhere because it was just so low budget and so low value. But they're just like, here's what we're going to kind of do. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to do this, but we're going to make it bigger and better and do all the stuff right.
And kind of famously, the pilot with Captain Pike of Star Trek, the original series, before they recast William Shatner and gave the role Kirk, that's a thing that happens. There are pilots that are not meant for mass consumption. Yeah.
Now, if we took this as that idea and said, here's kind of the backbone and everything that we want to kind of do with it, and then like this would be like a proof of concept, and then we just roll into a proper series where we would get another quote-unquote pilot again, if you will, or an episode 1, and call this like episode 0 or whatever, but have it be like Evil Dead 2, where it's like it's still what Evil Dead 1 the first one was, but it was that plus some more crap in it and everything as well, but had more comedy and whatnot. Maybe that's what this should be. If they went into like a second, if they got approved, just go, okay, sweet, here's what we're doing for reals now.
And here's something else, though, kind of the opposite of that. I do respect Edlund for actually putting his vision for the new tick into the pilot, because if you look at it as a contest, if it wins the vote, you get picked up for a season, you're going to be tempted to just chock it full of fan service and try to put everything in there that people love so that it'll get picked up. And then all of a sudden you have an episode 1 that's like this. Then I think you're going to bring out some anger.
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, though, I'd like to say that I'm on board. I'd like to see more of what they do with it, but my guess is, based upon this, my guess is it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, unless just a really motivated fan base carries it through. I think on its merits, it may not do it. But, stuff that has a fandom, I would imagine, though the Tick isn't massively popular in terms of comic books, the following is loyal. And I would dare say there are probably more diehard Tick fans than Jean-Claude Van Damme fans. That third pilot has a name that means a lot of people aren't even going to click on it, I bet. So it might get picked up just based on the property that it's adapting. But, I'm just speculating there.
Who's to say at this point? I don't know. Well,
and I don't really like Arthur's new costume either. I don't like the way it has all these advanced capabilities, because what was always so fun to me about Arthur is he basically had footy pajamas with some minimally functioning wings that he'd made himself. And now all of a sudden he has all these high-tech capabilities. And then I thought maybe this is Edlund kind of turning the screw against Marvel, like how the Falcon in the comic books was essentially a guy with some wings, and then they turned him into another version of Iron Man in the MCU movies. Mm-hmm. So I might be giving Edlund too much credit, but I like to think that this is intentional, that it is still carrying on the tradition of spoof that Tick was built on. Mm-hmm. But I didn't hear the word spoon in this episode.
If it was, I don't know. Part of me wants to say that it was, but then again, at the same time, am I also putting on the years of what I know from the Tick other stuff to just kind of just go, well, of course it was in there, when it might not have been. I don't know.
And I'm afraid I might be living in a fairyland, giving Edlund a little too much credit, because there's also a part of me that wonders if he's been tainted by Gotham, because Gotham does have its own nuts, like totally crazy off the rails nuts moments. Mm-hmm. But it's not the straight up absurdist stuff that I'm looking for. And I don't know, man. I don't know if he's trying to take what has been, 3 seasons is successful in a way, right?
Yeah.
So he's trying to take what's worked for 3 seasons with Gotham and spin a little bit of that to Amazon. I don't know, man, but I can understand why he didn't want to pitch it to Fox again.
No, I could definitely understand that. Not the way with Fox rolls things.
Imagine the Gotham Tick Hour every Monday.
Ooh, boy, that'd be a double-sided coin, wouldn't it?
with a big musical number crossover for the season finale.
All right, so listen, if you're going to go ahead and just open up my journal and everything and read out of it and to all of our listeners, I'd just prefer you ask me first. That's all. All right, so let's get down to it, everybody. We got to figure out how this Amazon pilot relates back to our good friend Sylvester Stallone. And I have a prepared statement. This week was yet another tough one, HMPers. There are a lot of people in the Tick, and, well, none of them have worked with Sylvester Stallone. He is the Sylvester Stallone of Hollywood. Sylvester Stallone is. And why? Of course, why would they? I mean, who are they? I mean, can any of these please vote for us on Amazon punks even carry the oversized, sweaty jockstrap that is Stallone's? No, sir, says I. But there's this bit, and I got to do it. So I found it, and I found it in a place I don't like to go. I found it on the IMDb page of one Karen Elaine Johnson, or as you might better know her as, Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, yeah.
Who stars as herself on a talk show on YouTube in The Tick. Now, when Whoopi isn't whittling away at yet another movie no one will see that she's in, she's on The View, a show about a group of old hens sitting around a table drinking coffee and gabbing on topics few of them know anything about other than, who's the washed-up star that no one cares about anymore?
Yeah, that would be Whoopi.
Exactly. That's the thing that we put on television here. But Whoopi wasn't always this bottom of the rung, really, she's still relevant barrel. She was once an Oscar nominated for The Color Purple and even won an Oscar for Ghost. She was also in such diverse great things as Sister Act and even Star Trek The Next Generation. Still, she'd have her chance, as many actors do, to grace the stage of Saturday Night Live, where she would guest host. Now, while there's been some times, I'm sure that Whoopi did a good job. I'm sure I didn't really watch the episode because who knows where the heck it's at, and you can't find that kind of crap anymore. But there's no way that her performance could live up to one Sylvester Stallone. I mean, take a... This is so good, guys. Take a listen to one example from season 23 of SNL in 1997.
Oh my God, is everyone all right?
Someone help! Help!
Oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Oh, come on, go get an ambulance, please.
Aren't you Sylvester Stallone?
Yes, come on. Sir, are you all right?
What happened?
Well, you're all right, sir. Now, everything's gonna be fine.
I saw a white light and I felt this inner peace. I thought I was going to heaven. But then that guy from that horrible movie Rhinestone showed up.
It's Sly Stallone. He's trying to help us.
Look, you'll be fine. You're just a little shaken up, okay?
Great. I don't know which is worse, being in this accident or being helped by the star of Judge Dredd.
Don't move. There's an ambulance coming, please.
Thank you so much. You're very kind.
Oh, it's okay.
He's not that kind. Did you see Cobra?
That movie actually got very screwed up in the editing. What's wrong?
I just remembered staying alive.
Oh, hey, come on.
Listen, he's trying to be nice.
Yeah, okay, fine. How are you doing, madam?
My arm hurts.
Oh, really? Can you move your fingers?
Oh, God! Paradise Alley sucked! I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that.
Well, don't be sorry. The guy stole 2 hours of your life.
Oh, come on. That's enough. I'm trying to help you.
I'm getting dizzy from the blood loss.
Okay. Let me just put the pressure on there. That's right. You're going to be okay.
I'm bleeding pretty badly here.
Everything's going to be fine. I'm here for you.
Let me ask you something. What were you thinking when you made Over the Top?
What?
Over the Top? I mean, you had to arm wrestle a guy for the custody of your son, for God's sake.
Save your energy.
I mean, did you actually get that script and go around telling people, hey, this is a good one?
Oh, come on, just drop it, please.
No, you're right, It was an excellent movie, now that I think about it. After all, it does combine the emotional drama of a custody child hearing with arm wrestling.
That's enough!
Whoa, hey, remember that movie Kramer versus Kramer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was about child custody, too. Yeah, but it wasn't that good. It was, I don't know, it was missing something, what was it missing? Oh, wait, I know. Arm wrestling.
Shut up!
Hey, what the hell are you doing? You're punching car accident victims.
No, you don't understand. He was bad-mouthing my films.
The man is injured and he happens to think Tango and Cash is jackass, so you hit him?
He didn't mention Tango and Cash, okay?
Please, somebody just help my husband.
I think this guy's dying. All right, everyone clear. I'm losing him.
Stop, or my mom will shoot. Suck.
What did he say? I couldn't hear him.
Did you hear him?
Yeah.
What did he say?
Stop my mom, shoot, suck.
Wait. Everyone, shh. What did he say?
He said, stop or my mom will shoot. Sucked!
It's okay. Listen, you've comforted my husband in the last minutes of his life. That's a noble thing. Don't let stop or my mom will shoot mar that experience.
Okay. Wait, everyone. He's holding on to something. It's a videotape. It's Rambo. I guess he liked your work after all.
Really? It really means a lot to me.
Oh, wait. Actually, no. It's a porn film. It's Rambone. It's Rambone. All right, let's clear out, everyone. Nothing to see. You want this? Yeah, you can have that. Let's move on.
Top that whoopee. So
Yeah,
there you have it, HMPers. This week's Stallone connection. Now, Norm Macdonald, let's review this pilot and get back to watching more failed pilots.
Yes.
Bruce, where does the Tick pilot from Amazon fall on the HMP Robin rating system for you, sir?
I didn't hate it. I had a lot of negative to say, but I didn't hate it. This is one of those rare times where I let the ugly side of fandom, I think, get the better of me. I looked at some online reviews, and other people seem to like it better than I did, but I want to make it clear I didn't hate it. I'm going to read you a quote from the review that IO9 had, and then I'll build from that.
Okay.
It said, fans of Tick Comics harbor ferocious love for their big blue bug of justice, clutching their memories with nigh immeasurable strength. There's been some worry in the ether about the new Tick series that starts airing today on Amazon, concerned that it might sneeze evil all over those memories. Well, I fear that they may have been talking about me, Adam. I spent 3 months this summer arguing with people about Preacher and how it's okay to adjust the original vision to give us something new and interesting for a TV show. But I might be on an express bus to Hypocriteville because all of my complaints really had to be with how this wasn't what the old one was. So I don't like that side of criticism. I particularly don't like that side of me, so I am going to give it the benefit of the doubt, give it a Damian Wayne. But this would be a lot easier to review if we had more episodes. Also, if it doesn't get picked up and there's not a season, I will clearly not recommend the pilot. But with all the questions up in the air, I will give it the benefit of the doubt and go with Damian.
Yeah, I was leaning Damian myself and everything, but at the end of the day, I'm going to have to judge this on this alone. Let's just say, for example, this bad boy doesn't get picked up, and this is the only thing that we're seeing of it, and I got to rate it on that thing, and at that point, because I agree with you, I didn't hate it. I just didn't think it was fantastic by any stretch of the imagination. So I got to go Stephanie Brown because, like Stephanie Brown, you just forget that it was even a thing that ever even happened. It's that, and honest to goodness, a lot of times that's almost worse than a Jason Todd because at least Jason Todd is memorable. It's horrible, but it's memorable. This is just like throw it away.
It does compare favorably to the failed Justice League pilot and the failed Power Pack pilot.
Oh,
so it's got
compared
that
to those, it's like watching Star Wars, but you don't have to try harder to get better than garbage, It just as long as it's like, look, if you have just like regular room temperature garbage, it's better than hot garbage.
I gotcha.
So I guess this is just garbage. It's not hot garbage. There you go. So that is it, everybody. That is our review for the Tick pilot on Amazon Prime. You can go and check that out if you're a Prime member right now. And I don't know. I mean, I guess that's how you vote for it, is watch the darn thing. So we'll see if that happens. If it gets picked up, we'll watch a couple more episodes once they've kind of let that go down the pike a little bit, and we can kind of go, oh, here's where they were going for it, and just kind of delve into a little bit deeper there. Until then, next week, guys, we're going to be doing the movie that we said we were going to do this week. We're going to be doing Iron Man, what started out the Marvel Cinematic Universe as we know it today. And I think it's going to be a good time and everything. Until then, Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet this week, sir?
Well, people can check out Heroes and Villains. I'm working on a soon-to-be or perhaps just released, depending on when you listen to this, sort of one of my multi-episode series, and I'm working on Hank Pym. So I've got a whole lot to say about Hank Pym. People may want to check out the guy better known as Ant-Man, Giant Man, Goliath, the Second Wasp, Yellow Jacket, Dr. Pym. Check it out. And then, of course, Chubby Wizard is always going strong with Chris, who I hope many of you heard on last week's review of The Incredible Hulk Returns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Hank Pym would be a good one, man, because, that guy's got a lot of background that I don't think that he gets a lot of notice for, really.
Yeah,
because I think it's like very rich history for that character, but I don't think a lot of people really know about it. They go, "Oh, there's a guy in the Ant-Man. That's okay, whatever."
Founding member of the Avengers.
Got to think about that, people. Think about it. So we'll be talking about that. And, of course, my other show, The Film Find at thefilmfind.com. New release reviews every single week. And if you haven't yet caught up on it, all the Preacher episodes are up on AMC.com and all that kind of jazz. So check out those and check out Preacher Podcast. It's still there. We're still going to drop some stuff every now and then. So keep subscribed to that bad boy. And, of course, for all of our shows, drop down to the iTunes there and a 5-star review, a.k.a. Humdinger. And we really appreciate that, guys. So that is it. Thank you so much for joining us this episode. Join us next week when we talk about Iron Man. For Bruce Leslie, the absent Sean Keenan, I'm Adam Portrais. Stay super, everybody.
Tweet out. Tweet out. Tweet out. Tweet da do down. Tweet da do ba ba do ba do. Tweet da do down. Salute, loud, out. tweet